How's everyone doing today? This is Chopping It Up Hardcore with Hal Capone, discussion number 77. Today, my special guest is Chris Taylor from the legendary band Pg.99. Chris was also in Mannequin, Pygmy, Lush. His current band, Terminal Bliss, epic. Malady, of course, one of my favorites. Just so psyched to talk to him. On top of that, his artwork is just spectacular. I love his artwork so much, and can't wait to talk to him about that. So I hope everybody's good. Hope everybody's well. Just raced from my daughter's basketball game to over here to do this talk. Things have been hectic for me, just running around three basketball leagues, just trying to get things done on top of work and everything else. So hope everybody's well. Hope everybody's good. Should be joining any second. Just a pleasure to talk to Chris. I mean, my talk with Mike was super fun. I love those guys so much. Hey, good to see you. Thanks. I know I'm all over the place with times and stuff like that too. It's whatever I can fit in time wise. Sometimes it's Saturday, sometimes it's Sunday, Friday nights, Saturday mornings. It's crazy. I wish it was kind of like more of a set schedule, but thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And anybody who's watched any of this stuff on my YouTube channel as well, like. I'm trying to do at least 102 talks because 2 got lost. Kathleen and Dimitri got lost. Instagram screwed that over. So I want to try to put at least 100 on my YouTube channel. So, yeah. I've been taking my time too. I've been doing one every week just because of this crazy schedule and stuff like that. But Chris should be jumping on any second. There we go. Chris, I'm going to grab you right now. Chris, how you
My
doing?
dude. Well, how are you?
Good. My sounding all right?
Yep, loud and clear. I got these little future earphones in my ears.
Perfect. Sorry about I'm parking lot pimping again today because my daughter
Hey,
all game and it was a little crazy at my house. So
we do what we can.
I want to
You
thank
know,
you so much for taking time out to talk to me. Like I said, the talk with Mike was so fun, and I had a great time talking to your brother. So it's an honor for you to come on and talk as well.
well, thanks, man. I mean, it's funny because I mean, for the record, I love talking to my brother too. He's very, he's my anchor. But the over the past couple of years, seeing, I'm like, who is this guy? Like, You have you have like it's funny because the shows that I actually remember, you have like videos, and I don't remember. And I was joking with Mike. I'm like, uh, I'm the guy that doesn't remember anything. So you already got the brother that actually knows and can like recall dates, and he may be more useful if somebody had mentioned that you were like he's really good at like deep diving and remembering talking about you and excited for this. And I'm like, well, I hope he can cover for me. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I think I saw Mannequin more times than any other band that you were in. I think I saw Mannequin at least 4-5 times. I think most of them were in Connecticut, but I think one
Yeah.
in Massachusetts as well too. That City Caterpillar show in Cambridge, where the cage was. It was like a
Yep.
chain link fence.
Yeah.
Um, um, so that's the most footage I have is Mannequin, but luckily I got the Pg.99 footage from Manchester, New Hampshire, and
Wait, the do you remember, is that band called Neptune? There's a band that played that.
yeah,
Can't,
Neptune. Yeah,
Neptune. Did they made all their own shit, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I okay, I remember something. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Neptune was wild, definitely.
Yeah,
Me and
they
my
were cool.
about that. I got to videotape them a couple times, so I think there might be one on my page. I'll just tag you in it so that you can watch again, because that was an interesting band to see for sure.
Dude, I'd love that. I mean, I talk about them like it still stands out as like, you can kind of tell anybody about a band like that, even if they're not into all of this stuff, and they'd be like, their ears would perk up, like, what? They made their own instruments, and on top of it, they were cool and weird. I just remember that, like I was like, neat, neat. We're definitely slackers. So we don't make our own fucking instruments.
um,
There goes my.
Usually when I first start off, I usually ask what got you into punk and hardcore. Like, what was the music that kind of drew you towards punk and hardcore? But I guess like the first question before that was, what were you listening to before you found punk and hardcore as a kid?
I mean, hip hop. I guess the first music I remember is like the classic '80s pop, like Madonna, Michael Jackson, everything that was big around Cyndi Lauper. And of course, like, it's funny because like I don't remember being a music fan, but that stuff, I don't know if this happens to everybody, but it permeates you, and you either become a music person at that point, or I guess it happened that early, but yeah, stuff like '80s pop basically, and then you just kind of fall off and get into your own little kid interests. And then when we started kind of, I guess, middle school is when my brother, literally every bit of musical influence I have, is sort of filtered out through him, or at least the early going. So he started collecting music, and he started reading liner notes. And before it was punk rock, it was hip hop. So
Yeah.
he was really deep into that well before ever hearing Black Flag or anything. And that I was just right alongside him, and sort of admiring how he admired music. You know what I mean? Because I'm a younger brother, and I kind of looked up to him, or I definitely did. And yeah, I mean, so I'm just sort of like trying to keep up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Was your
I guess like,
Oh,
but
go
I
ahead.
guess I could name some things like Black Sheep, like that first Dr. Dre record was constantly playing, like the Chronic, um, Far Side, Delta Funky Homo Sapien, Hieroglyphics, like a bunch of cool shit. Gosh, everything. Guru, Jazzmatazz, like, and there's so much variety in that music too. You get these like, there's guitar, there's ambience, there's theatrics. There's just so much to that already. It's really easy to get into, and I think that made us sort of primed us for the deep dive into punko.
Yeah, yeah. Was Yo MTV Raps a big thing at your house?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, yep. Just, I mean, I think the TV was always on, and it was either on MTV or yeah, I don't even remember honestly. We also, you know, we were not home a lot, so that's another thing. Like, I don't think like the TV really had much influence there with the. But yeah, I remember Yo MTV Raps. MTV used to be kind of cool,
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of. You
yeah,
you could discover things on it, like, before the internet. So
yeah.
funny.
That's true.
God,
So,
we're old.
what were the bands that drew you to hardcore though, in punk? Like, what were your favorite first bands that you kind of discovered on your own?
Um, well, I'd say, chronologically, it'd be Nirvana, Jesus Lizard, Born Against, and then literally everything. Those three were like my heavy music primer, and Born Against was really my first entryway into what we do.
Yeah,
Like Jesus Lizard, I remember seeing at Lollapalooza, changed my life, but it's a huge commercial event, and doesn't have the intimacy of what I feel like what punk really, how punk informed us or whatever.
yeah,
But yeah, I'd say those three. I mean, Born Against is huge. Like, one, I think, I can't remember if it was Jesus Lizard. I think it was Born Against that I was like 15 or 16. And me and Mike always had this around that time. I started doing a whole lot of drugs, and he was kind of bummed about that. So we had these like, we had on again, off again, like pals type of thing. Sometimes I'd be a little bit too much for him. And but I came into his room one night on acid, and he was like, check this band out," because I told him, and he played Born Against. It was the first time I heard Born Against, and yeah, it just sounded uh, like like someone put a microphone in the room and a cougar was eating a bunch of the people that were trying to play these songs. And I was just like, holy fucking shit, this is amazing. Yeah, I think that's the band that really started me really kind of believing in punk rock or whatever. And this, it did sort of sweep me off my feet in a way.
Yeah. Now, were you into skateboarding? Because I know that kind of bridges the gap between hardcore and punk too for some people.
It's funny because I tried to learn how to kickflip. I don't know if Blake's still on here, but I worked last year with a bunch of really good skaters, and I tried to learn my first ollie, kickflip stuff. But and I was, and I think I could do it. I know I'm 42, but I think I could do it. But I used to hang out, all my friends, most of my friends skated or whatever, and that was kind of, I don't think my brother hung out with skaters, but I was always like, we were finding little cuts behind the grocery store to drink our 40s
Yeah.
and loiter, like that's what we did in Sterling Park, is like fucking loiter basically. But yeah.
Um, Also, I wanted to ask, was metalcore a thing for you back then? Like not so much the tough guy hardcore, but kind of like the metal hardcore aspect of bands. Did that, did you have any likes for that kind of hardcore?
Um, when I heard botch, when Mike was really into botch, is that
Yeah.
fair to call that metalcore? I was really into that. I thought that was crazy, and I think mathy things always seem like so extraterrestrial to me that and even if you could even if you could pick out a semi-mathy line in Pg.99 songs, it's really more of a power thing and not technical. And but yeah, I mean, there was a moment in there where some of that stuff definitely eked in, but it was like in the midst of like, because I never really, like, Master of Puppets is how deep into metal. Shame on me. Like, I never got into metal. I didn't have metalhead friends. I had punk friends, and they carry over. There's of course plenty of but plenty of crossover there. But no, I'm trying to think, like, botch is the only thing that actually comes to mind when I think of metalcore. And I'm sure there's a million other bands. I remember seeing Coalesce
Mm,
live when I was pretty young, and Page 99 either hadn't started or just started,
yeah.
and being, I don't know if they qualify as that, but being really impacted by that show. Like, they actually kind of scared me a little bit. I felt like I might get hurt or something if I got too close to them. But so there was a little impact there for sure. Like, I feel like and in ways it influenced my brother, who obviously, was tentacling his, like, idea shit all across the genre landscape. Um yeah, I think he definitely, and I think by proxy of hearing it through him riffing. Like, he's one of my favorite. He's hands down my favorite guitarist and songwriter and everything. So if he writes it, I'm like, fuck yeah, that's the one. That's the riff. But yeah.
Nice. So when you first wanted to get into a band, Nitpick was your first band,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
What kind of like made you think that you wanted to get into a band? And did you want to play an instrument or did you want to be a front man? Like, what was it?
That shook out as follows. Our friends Eric and Jeff Kane, who we had classes with in middle school but didn't really know all that well, they were just like almost 10 years ahead of our age group in terms of musical ability. Because, I mean, I don't know, I'm speculating here, but first of all, they're geniuses. Second of all, and this is Eric Kane of Strike Anywhere and Jeff Kane of
Yeah.
City of Caterpillar. um, Second of all, I think their dad worked for Parks and Rec, and so he always had, easy backstage access to, you know, whatever's at Wolf Trap or at the Patriot Center. So I remember one of our first hangouts with Eric and Jeff was they invited us backstage just to meet Green Day,
Oh,
right when they were huge, you know,
yeah.
and we weren't. I mean, we had, you know, we had gotten into Green Day when they were in East Bay, you know, like, of course, you know, I spent a dear amount of time with a relationship with pop punk as well, but we're not going to touch on that. But anyway, I'm getting off course. But so we're walking by basically Williamsburg Avenue, I think it was their street. And I don't know if it was me and Mike or me and one of my stoner friends, and I saw my friend David Krepanevich, who later became the bass player of Pygmy Lush, playing guitar outside of Eric and Jeff's house. And he just looked like Kurt Cobain. He had long blonde hair, a little ratty cardigan, and a white Stratocaster. And I was like, awesome. And I knew him, but I didn't recognize him because his head was down. And I looked, and it was Dave, and we're like, Dave, and what are you doing here? And I'm in this band, Bulletproof Rump Roast, with Eric and Jeff, our friend Pat, and I'm like, no way. And at some point, like, we saw them or saw like what they can do, and Eric and Mike started hitting it off, and Eric came over and started playing drums with Mike when Mike didn't know how to play guitar yet. So it was like seeing them already, like, and I remember that day with Dave, I was like, what can you play? Can you play any Nirvana songs? And he played I don't know, Teen Spirit or Come As You Are or something. I was like, oh, so I was just like, how did you get time? You know, how do I not know about any of this? And y'all are already good. And it's funny because but yeah, I mean, so it was slow going. Like, me and Mike were really slow learners when it came to like how to play.
Yeah.
And me especially, you know, like when I was 10, I got my ring finger sliced off in a
Oh,
door. And so I never really thought to pick a guitar up because I wouldn't be able to form all the chords. But when I saw Dave, he was doing power chords, and it takes these two fingers, and I was like, sweet, maybe it's possible. But still, fast forward maybe a year, Mike has gotten his first guitar, convinced Eric and Jeff to play together.
mm,
Eric on drums, Jeff on bass, and we just started hanging out a lot in their garage. You know, it was like addictive. It was like
mm,
our after school activity, you know, and even with all my, you know, how drugs will kind of carry you off to a different little social scene. It didn't, like, I just kind of, I was still smoking and doing whatever, and then going and hanging out with the boys in the garage. But yeah, that was it. And then for me personally, yeah, I mean, it was default that I was a singer because I was the one that couldn't play anything. So I just, you know, there's a microphone there. They're playing some of you know, the radio at that time is like Dinosaur Jr., Sonic
mm.
Youth, Nirvana, and they're playing all these things I know the lyrics to already. And I just started, you know, singing along to 90s radio stuff with them playing. And it just happened. We started eventually writing our own songs, and let's go play this out. And then it took me, I don't know, another year and a half to start writing like sort of street punko stuff
Yeah.
on guitar. And I messed around with guitar for a little bit, but really just once Pg.99 started, I didn't pick it up again until 5, 6. So let's see, I played guitar for a little bit when I was 15 to 16 or 15 to 18. So yeah, I had played power chords for a total of 6 years before Mannequin started,
Yeah.
and then basically didn't. Yeah, I didn't play guitar in Pygmy Lush for like 3 years because I didn't feel good enough, and until Johnny started teaching me a little tricks how to use
Yeah.
3 fingers instead of 4, and that's when I really started enjoying it and liking it, getting
Yeah.
into it, writing and stuff.
Now,
But
nitpick. You guys didn't put out too much. I know the song on the Caligula Effect comp, which was like that comp had a bunch of amazing bands.
yeah, it's
Was,
crazy.
was there anything that you guys released besides what was on that? Was there
We
like
have
a tape?
Yeah, we have a demo tape. and we or several really. We had a pretty decent sort of last bit about like we were about to start Page 99. We're like a year away from that, and Nitpick is still a band. It's changed. We have new members. Eric quit. We got Blake that's in Page 99 now to like double up on singing, and we had started experimenting with like sort of hardcore instead of like Nitpick was basically an alternative pop punk band or something, you know, and then it started getting darker, and like we're trying, and that's what you hear on Caligula is the darker Nitpick or whatever.
Yeah.
But we had that, and I think that was like 8 songs or something. And then before that, we had just a genuine Tascam 4-track, like 90s alternative for Fisher Price, my first band, demo
Yeah.
tape.
Oh, nice.
And which Mike is the archivist, and if you ever wanted to hear that stuff, I'm sure he'd be happy to oblige.
Yeah. So what
I,
kind of put you into the darker, heavier stuff when Page 99 started? I mean, I know it was starting at the end of Nitpick, but what kind of pushed you guys towards that heavy, more chaotic like sound?
I think it was sort of, it's hard. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because there wasn't any real screaming or not it was like weird growly ish vocals in the end of Nitpick. And it's funny when I think about like, why did I start screaming? Like, or, you know, but I guess it's like, I think, like I said, it's sort of like, it's almost like, you take a little while to catch up to your influences, like, and
Yeah.
you have this, and I think Nitpick, or at least the end of it was this, we were listening to bands like Born Against, and our brains were stretched out that, but our muscle memory and our like, you know, skill level and just creatively, like, how do you write a song like that? I think took a while to sort of start cauterizing, and then of course I think the addition of who Page 99, you know, Page 99 is basically Nitpick. At least it's crazy because some bands only have 3 members, but Page 99 has 3 of Nitpick's members, and so it was basically adding a few different people to that, and everybody's tastes and like influences, like, eke their way in just as the way it should, like
Yeah.
yeah, and our musical tastes were changing at the time, and yeah, I think it just, and if you listen to us start to finish, it just is ever evolving,
Yeah.
us trying to catch up with our influence, our inspirations, or whatever. And what I like about us is, we're just not, we're just this much lacking enough on talent that what we try to rip off always ends up sounding kind of original because we can't actually dutifully represent or reproduce our favorite thing. So I think that's probably where that started, and our fascination with heavier music,
Yeah. Now,
we just continue to grow.
were you like, obviously you were going to shows at that time too, so were you seeing bands that kind of influence you to kind of be like the band you were too, obviously? Because I mean, there's young pictures of you and Mike at the Reversal of Man show.
Mm-hmm.
Caligula Effect has Reversal of Man on it. I know you were buddies with Pig Destroyer guys,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So obviously you were going to a bunch of shows. Did that have influence on you too, watching
Oh, for
like
sure.
awesome bands live?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, and it was so impactful. Like I said, it doesn't happen to me anymore where I go, I mean, Soul Glow floored me.
Mm,
I saw they just took the floor out from under me. I felt like, yeah, it was insane. And I told Ruben that I was like, I haven't felt like that at a show in a minute.
yeah.
But like I was saying earlier on, shows impacted me in these profound ways where I felt threatened or like completely inspired, or like, just, I mean, absolutely. You're younger, you're more impressionable. Pig Destroyer was huge. Just the way they went about the band, they went about their business. Like
Yeah.
they were very like, we know exactly what we're doing. We know exactly, they had no identity crisis. And I always was really I was kind of envious of that in a way, you know, identity crisis. You could just sort of, that kind of describes Pg.99 to me in a way, but like, but yeah, I think anyway, I think, yeah, if you're paying attention, there's no way you could be involved in a scene that, you know, like that back then and not be, you know, somehow inspired to to integrate it, or, you know, yeah, I mean, it had a huge, like that picture of Reversal Man I was talking to Mike, I obviously I'm there, and obviously I love Reversal of Man, but I do not fucking remember being there.
Really?
And yeah, and it's crazy because like now I'm kicking myself, but we're also, me and Mike are also a group, and a bunch of us really, like, we took a lot of influence and inspiration really from contemporaries. Like,
Yeah.
I know my brother really like he really liked Jerome's Dream, what they did, and like all of us kind of big fans of Orchid. They did a split with Big Destroyer back then.
Yep.
Big Destroyer had a big impact on us too because they kind of took us under their wing and you know, invited us to shows and playing with them, and then sort of just seeing where, you know, the vast, I mean, that was a huge, I owe so much to Big Destroyer because they introduced us to so many nice people. And yeah, I mean, but yeah, that was definitely, I feel like without those things, without that scene around you, yeah, we wouldn't have, it wouldn't have held our interest this long, you know?
Yeah, and as well, you guys were having basement shows at your parents' house, uh, especially the last one with, was it Orchid and Pig Destroyer played that last show in your basement, correct?
I can't remember if Orchid played it. I know Pig Destroyer did, and Orchid and Hail Mary did play our hometown,
Yeah,
Sterling, in a basement, Ray Register's house. It still lives in infamy. But yeah, and that's what's crazy. It's like Orchid came to, and to us, I mean, we nobody knew us. We knew Orchid because you'd see him in every record store you went to, right there along Pig Destroyer, and nobody knew who we were. We didn't have a, you know, like, so to have them in Sterling, having them, it really does impact you. Uh, this is like, yeah, it kind of blew my mind, you know, like that. I don't have to go but a couple blocks to go see this band, and we're not a city, you know, like it just actually always was a way. And it's so funny. I don't know if people, I'm certain nobody books like this anymore, but if people really know what it was like back then and
yeah,
how we would find each other, and like how in the novel places you'd end up because out of limitations, really, like
yeah,
you didn't have access to the best booking, you know, you know, whatever, you everything was really community. It's like a true grassroots thing, you know,
yeah.
and it really was.
Now, I wanted to speak about the tours. Obviously, you guys toured with Majority Rule a bunch of times. What was some of your favorite tours that you did? Obviously, you guys went to Europe too. So, do you have any great memories of like touring, especially with Majority Rule and maybe the European tour as well?
um I every tour of Majority Rule,
Mm.
I can't say enough good things about those guys. They're like model humans. They're so pure, they're so gentle and nice, all three of them. God, I love them so much. Oh God. But so it was a real, and they accepted us. And I think around that time, DC was kind of a hard win over for us. And DC loved Majority Rule.
Mm.
Didn't really care about Pg.99, but Majority Rule of Pg.99. And it was sort of a thing where it was like, uh I don't know. It was like a how a brother sees you, or a family member sees you. They just understand you, and God, I love them. But so anything with them, it was, and honestly, any of those early, a lot of those early Page 99 tours. It's funny to think because there were so many in such a short time,
Yeah,
but they were like the early ones were like a wild field trip where the chaperone just left us and gave us the van.
Yeah.
And we were just goofing, you know, the whole time. I can't believe how hilarious those first things were. And then, um, yeah, and as it goes, as you get familiar with it, you start seeing people. I really actually just kind of think all of those experiences were really good. I had horrible times on the road too, but Europe was wild. You know, you're never going to get to see those places, and you constantly tell yourself, you know, in your early 20s, like, here I am on a chalet, like looking over the misty pre-Swift Alps with the jangling of goat bells in the background, with a bucket of weed next to me. At 23, my mom will probably never get to see this, and you just breathe it in, like, how, why, or like, you know, it's a very great, full of gratitude. I had a lot of moments like that over there, even though it was a goddamn nightmare too. We were alcoholic mess, and we got shipped on our own way midway through, and ended up falling apart. But it was still a beautiful time. I think we all still laugh at, you know, think
Yeah.
fondly to some of, you know, how grossly American we were. Yeah, and but and then I've had a few with bands outside of the circle. I toured for, I think, 5 weeks with this band Big Hush from DC,
Mhm.
which was a couples band it was like two pairs of couples, and that was just chill.
Yeah.
Like we were in a minivan. It was easy to park everywhere. We were only loading Fender Twins into the clubs every night. You know, it's so easy and chill. And I was a little older, so I had this appreciation for that vibe. And then when Pg.99 did the two reunion trips on the East and West Coast, those were far and away and will probably always be my favorite tours, because especially that West Coast one, because I like, I had just lost my stepdad, and it was like, I had quit drinking for like 5 months prior, because I had started drinking too much when my dad passed, and I was like aware of it. I was like, okay, you just wiped out a 15 pack. You bought this at 12 o'clock today, so that's no more. And I just stopped at 5 months in, and then I had to get a tooth pulled right before that one, and um, they told me I couldn't smoke while that was healing, and it was like 4 days out. So I quit smoking, and still to this day, I smoke this vape. But that and so I had this, and I just was eating really healthy, and I just had this great mind body full circle, for uh, coming back. Like, it was just warm family, understanding, right at a time I needed it. And then of course, massive valid or affirmation and validation of whatever Page 99 became, since we, you know. And
Yeah.
then, like, almost most importantly, I think, having the focus be a sort of a reach out and sort of reconnect an idea of community. Like, we're all going to chip in. We're going to do it too. We're all going to chip in to help out,
Yeah.
you know, this city's, you know. And we did a lot of work trying to find who needed things the most. uh of course you can't, but that just also, there's there's an impact, something where you're just sort of getting money out of the way,
Mm.
um of you. Like, for me, that's really important. Like, I don't think we would have done any of that if we hadn't, if we hadn't thought of that. You know, I wouldn't I wouldn't I wouldn't have done it. I definitely. It's funny because I said something in an interview a long time ago. I guess if we reunite, you could expect us to do it because we want a whole bunch of money. And then and then it turns out, like, I don't know. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. But yeah, that was the one. That was the one, I think. And then I drove home in a U-Haul with a really good friend, and it was just the whole time was hilarious. I felt like a little bit like if I had gotten to go back to 2001 and played with Pg.99 with my wisdom.
Yeah.
If I could take that back that's what kind of what it felt like. And I felt like in this place where I was like, okay with people liking a band that I'm in, which is really hard for me. And then okay with, yeah, just not connecting it to, over the years, music's really, I've had a weird relationship with it. And
Yeah.
I've had many times wanted to stop altogether, felt like it took more than it gave, and but that was so rewarding. I mean, it literally is, if you think of it as a psychic um drop in the water, it was a boulder being thrown
Yeah.
in that I can still feel the ripple effects from, like right now, even just thinking about it. But
Yeah.
I'm only like 3 years out of when that was, and it still warms me. It still kind of carries me a little bit. So that was a huge. I'd have to say that definitely is hands down my favorite trip or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, great causes and great benefit for like the causes that, the money went to. Um, I was super psyched about the shows too. Um, Speaking of that, I mean, would you guys ever do another like benefit Page 99 thing if it popped up? I know
Of course.
I know Terminal Bliss is doing one for Vinny's daughter coming,
Yeah.
which is like Vinny's such a great guy and such a great cause for his daughter.
Yeah.
Um, so would Page 99 ever get back together to do like another benefit thing in the near future, or
I
if it?
mean, yeah. We all talked about it. It's funny because I'm a little bit in the same boat as anybody else. Like I'm not really sure, but like we talked about it. I think we talked about it in the hotel before we all split up on the West Coast. Is this it? Is this it,
Mm,
guys? Like kind of looking at each other, being okay with it if it is. And I think we all kind of were like, it's okay if this is it. But like also, I mean, we almost played a show with Mono and Envy and God damn it, I can't remember the other band in Canada, and I don't think it was a benefit, but we were all kind of really excited about it,
yeah,
and nothing. I think there's some of us are, I think that is really important. If it doesn't have that kind of, if it, I think it's a no brainer if we're helping somebody,
yeah, yeah,
and it's also we have to be ready, collectively to do it again. We talk about it a ton. Like I don't want to say who making the pull for it more and but there's one or two of us that are always pulling for it, and then
yeah,
there's one or two of us that are kind of like it, don't respond or laugh about something else later in the thread. But
yeah. I wanted to ask too, out of all the work that Page 99 did, the catalog, what is your personal favorite and what sounds the best to you? Like what what album or what split? I mean, the splits you guys did, I mean, City of Caterpillar, Circle Takes a Square, Enemy Soil, Majority Rule, I mean, plus all the, and you guys were on a million different labels, like big labels too, all the way from Robo Dog to Level Plane to Electric Human Project or Reptilian. I mean, just the list goes on and on. What's your favorite work of art that Page 99 did?
I'd say, and it's funny, it's kind of no contest. I'd say the Process is Dead split. I think that's the one. I could be wrong because there's two songs on it. It could be no, it's the Circle Takes a Square split. That's
Mm,
the one.
so good.
But
So
both of those are kind of, the splits actually get me. But that Circle Takes a Square, that uh that's the one that has, I think it's called Siplin Ray, or that could be on. I think whatever one has, this Mike wrote the lyrics, and they're about a plane spiraling towards the city. Is that on the Circle split?
I think it is on the Circle split. I think.
Um,
Now you got me.
I got to listen to it honestly, but one of them has these two blazing fast songs.
Yeah,
they're kind of scary, and they were quick. I think they was at Oblivion Studios, the same sessions as Document 7,
Yeah.
or and we did some other sessions there too. But and so I'd say one of those splits has my favorite, like, scariest Pg.99 material on it. And then the majority rule split, I kind of feel like there's two kinds of Pg.99. There's like this experimental one, and then there's this like fast and aggressive thing that really is the split I'm talking about, either circle or process, is like what Terminal Bliss is to me now. I've always wanted to pull that speed and aggression out of that record and make it 10 songs long, and that's basically Bruterata. But that's my favorite, just because it's raw, and it's kind of confusing. It like hits you before you realize what happened, and then
Yeah.
the majority rule split is just so weird,
Yeah.
such weird material, and we were going somewhere even weirder. I think I would have loved it. It somehow ended up as you know, and I hate saying, because it's not, Malady's more of a City of Caterpillar offshoot, but
Mm.
kind of ended up in Malady, that some of that direction, that really the last song in that majority rule split, I really would have liked to see where that had, if we
Yeah.
had stayed a band, where what we could have done with stuff like that. Yes. Ah,
There's some things I hold on to. Like I've sold a lot of stuff, but I still have that, and I still have
fuck yeah, dude.
5. Um,
Hell yeah.
and
That's
also I could
awesome.
never get rid of this.
Classic.
You know what I mean?
Classic.
On top of that, I got the rocking the shirt
Oh,
today.
my man. Hell yeah. That's awesome.
So, like I said, Page 99 was such an influence on me, huge to me. Your artwork, I mean, I still have this Bad Larry right here.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's good.
So, I remember meeting you in Connecticut and showing you that, and you were just so humble and nice to me. You were like, "Oh my God, it's amazing." You know,
It's such an honor. It is humbling. Like, if someone showing you your artwork on their skin. I mean, I don't really, I'm speechless whenever I see that. It's crazy.
yeah, you and
But
Mike were so nice to me and my friends when we first met and stuff like that. So those are the things that stick with me too. You guys were always nice. Every time I saw you, I wasn't a huge talker back then, but I would always
mhm.
be like, "Oh my God, that set was amazing!" Like,
Yeah.
I try to buy everything that you guys had, that you were selling merch wise and stuff like that. So, like I said, Page 99 was just very, very huge for me, and Malady as well. And I wanted to kind of get into Malady too. How did that begin? And was there any other songs besides that self-titled that came out? Because I'm dying to hear lost Malady songs. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
so special to me. How did that kind of get into the fold? And was there any missing songs that never made it?
Well, I'll do the short answer first. And no, there wasn't any extra songs. We put everything that we had on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as the internet knows this somehow, but we were writing a second record, and I remember I was writing lyrics for, I think, about maybe 4 songs at that time, on a plane to Italy, to visit. It was the first time I ever been overseas by myself, and I was terrified. And I used that material and that time to, like, um, that material basically kept me from being scared shitless. But it later ended up as Verse in Coma,
Oh,
verbatim. Like, so what you hear, Verse in Coma, we were literally about to stop yelling, stop rocking, and
yeah,
I was really actually conflicted, because I was like, how the hell am I going to sing over this? And what is it going to look like if I'm just standing there with a microphone, like, singing? Because I wanted to sing,
yeah,
over it. And I was getting, we were already sort of leaning into this Pygmy Lush. And how I mentioned earlier, how you're always a couple of years behind your own tastes, and
yeah,
catching up to them. So I was already wanting to sing and break out. So I wanted that, but felt really uncomfortable without an instrument in my hand.
yeah.
So I was a little conflicted, even as I was writing for it. And then it turned out I didn't have to write for it after all, because we got kicked out, me and Johnny. and then we formed Pygmy Lush. But yeah, that band started. Pg.99 had broken up, and City of Caterpillar had broken up because they couldn't. It was almost similar to Malady. They couldn't get out of their way to write that next record,
Yeah.
and the record was just they broke up in the middle of a record, and so did Malady. So and it kind of formed as like I remember Jeff sending me 2 complete Malady songs, so it tongue like a serpent, and
Yeah.
then Said Simone down by the old cemetery. Is that Said Simone?
Ah,
But anyway, he sent me those 2 fully formed. There was drums on them. He and Johnny had done the drums. I'm not sure if Kevin was on it yet. Yeah, Kevin was on it, and Jonathan was on it. So it was really just me not there
yeah.
in it, and I didn't even know the band existed. Like I didn't know my friends were doing this other band
Yeah.
post Pg.99. Mannequin was a band at that time,
Yeah.
and I was concentrating on that. And Jeff sent me those 2 songs and was like, "Do you want to sing on this?" And I was like, "I'm gonna be the singer for the next City of Caterpillar." I was so fucking pumped off. I couldn't believe it. I was like, it sounds like a rock orchestra. I was
Yeah.
like, these are so cool. I couldn't believe how cool they were. I love Jeff's style of writing,
Mm,
and then to have Jonathan and I mean Kevin was already in writing with Jeff so much, so they really knew how to write together. And Jonathan, the guitarist that added that kind of weirdness to the majority rule split,
yeah.
um, just fit right in line, almost sort of adopted. He's very chameleon like. He can sort of like find your style really quickly, and then sort of extrapolate off of it or whatever. Um, but yeah, so I was just blown away. He asked me to sing on it. I played him over and over again,
Mm,
and then Kev started coming over, and we kind of just we had a great relationship at that time and just hung out every day. He helped me a lot with the lyrics and a
yeah.
lot with like the how to sing like that, basically. Like I didn't know. He kept encouraging me to do Lint Armstrong, my best rancid, uh, which on Bad Life is definitely in full effect in that little rant.
Yeah.
He was so stoked off on that little rant because he was like, "It's fucking Lint." Like you're being like, um, which is cool. It's like punk kind of vocals, sometimes screamy, sometimes singy.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, it's funny because I probably could never sing like that again, like or come up or write like that again. But it was just of the time, I guess. Yeah.
Now, Mannequin was working. I read somewhere that Mannequin was working on a full length, and it never happened. Was that true? Did you guys were you working on a full length, and then it kind of just fell apart?
Yeah. Yep. The new material, existential crisis. We and I remember that material being really fucking cool too. Gosh, if the world got to hear that, the world might actually, or our little world that they nobody knows Mannequin. You might be the only one. Like nobody, like even like arcavial deep dive fervent Pg.99 fans haven't heard of Mannequin or heard any of that stuff. So it's but but this record was so cool. It was very Pixies. It was going all over the place. I fucked it up because I don't even want to talk about it. But I fucked that band up. Really because we had gotten a new drummer, Jake, who was later you probably know some things he's been. He was in Triac, he's in the Archaics now.
Mhm.
He's in a ton of bands. He's a human metronome.
Yeah.
Um but we were in the middle of writing some of that stuff, and yeah, it came apart. But that I really wish I could hear some of that material again. It was weird. We were actually getting a little pygmy lushy. It was like starting to twinkle a little bit, like, and
Yeah.
I was starting to feel comfortable playing guitar and all of that too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I wanted to ask too. I know you had kind of a like Pygmy, Lush, and Manic. I mean, Malady were kind of like more mellower for you. When Terminal Bliss started, did you have the fever to kind of play heavier, chaotic, fast music again? Was there a fever because there was like a space and time where you were kind of doing like more indie sounding stuff? Can you tell me about how that came about? Like, where was the fever for the heavy, chaotic stuff again?
That Pg.99 tour. You know, it's funny because like Pg.99 is it's really actually, you know, it was like nitpick for me
Hmm.
until the Best Friends Day reunion, or I think I saw a meme finally. It was just sort of this band, this thing I did in my past that, you know, has nothing to do with the music I'm playing now.
Yeah.
I had these I would have an occasional encounter with somebody that liked it or really liked it, and kind of just not understand why. And you know, I just didn't connect really with that band after its existence. I had some resentments, not because of any of us or how it ended or anything, but it was just, it seemed like a high school band to me. It was
Yeah.
like immature or whatever. And a lot of the stuff I was writing about, I'm not ashamed of, but it just didn't have, it didn't relate to who I was now.
Yeah.
And until the Best Friends Day, so I started to sort of have this new relationship form with my with Page 99, where I was finally starting to let myself be proud of what we did and actually see some, you know, having admiration for some musicians that would insist on the reason you like what I do is because I liked what you did,
Yeah.
and then make me kind of go back and like not study but like pay attention to the things that were really unique about that band, and also just whatever my embarrassment of like a 20-year-old me writing lyrics about getting my heart broken shouldn't negate like my brother's magnus opus. You know, like he wrote all of those or a bunch of those, and shouldn't negate like 5 years with some of my best friends, seeing parts of the world I still haven't seen again. And so yeah, I mean, when that tour happened, and the Best Friends Day and then the subsequent tours, yeah, it just sort of, I was okay. But when I started being okay, that was when I started being okay with that music and not seeing it as like immature for my progression or going backwards or something, and
Yeah.
seeing it as like a very like relevant and informative to my trajectory that I've taken, part of my past, and then the acceptance of that and the enjoyment of that trip, and just like the you know, if you have anything going on in your life and you get to do that like what I do with Terminal Bliss, I mean, it's like having a controlled tantrum. You're allowed to or what is it? What are those rooms like those rooms where you give a bat to your kid and he just like bashes everything in the room or something, you know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
a venting room or something. So yeah, and the process, the way Terminal Bliss came about was part of why I was so excited about playing, because it was supposed to be, instead of my brother playing guitar in Terminal Bliss, it was supposed to be Adam, the guitar player from Born Against,
Oh, okay.
who was starting a band with Ryan and Adam.
Yeah.
And I was like, you gotta let me sing on that shit. And then he kind of moved back to New York or was talking about it, or you know, he kind of just dropped off of that project with them,
Yeah.
and they still wanted to do the premise. Like it
Mm.
was basically, I remember texting my brother and I said, Adam from Born Against is doing a punk band again and I might sing in it. And he was like, fuck. And but it never came to pass. And actually the three of them surprised me with asking me if I'm coming to practice for that band.
Yeah.
They had already scheduled it, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'll be there." And that was so easy breezy. The writing for that material was like, I've never even seen it. I've never seen a band like that much of a machine. It was amazing seeing the three of those guys write those songs like, you know, Mike's 2 hours away. We did it in like 6 practices,
Wow, no
like
kidding.
a couple songs of practice, and I just had all the material laid out before me, and I took a couple of months on my writing and vocal pattern thing, and then voila, it's exactly how, you know, it came together so quick. And yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know, that's the premise. It's fun, simple, fast,
yeah,
like and then, you know, and then now I also have a platform to stream a consciously, say some things about cops,
mm,
the hospital bills, the way
yeah,
things are sometimes, that I
yep,
can't say in a Pygmy Lush song. Or I could, and it might be awesome, but
yeah,
I don't feel compelled to, or
yeah,
whatever. But this music really brings it out. So I mean, yeah, I think that's kind of how that came. My
yeah,
relationship back into heavy stuff.
yeah. And the album is so incredible. For me, I wanted more. It's just so short. I understand the short, fast songs, but like, oh, I wanted
Oh
more.
yeah,
So, hopefully, you guys writing for a new album or what's
yeah. We have, uh, I think we have about 20 songs done, and but but in various stages of completion. But yeah, I mean, we have double the output of the last record, and that was always going to be an EP, short, fast, loud,
yeah,
and this one's going to be, you know, exactly like that, only a, you know, newer, because you haven't heard these songs, but
yeah.
and then and double it up, so it'll definitely give you a headache, I think, if you're not if you're not ready for it.
Now, how did Relapse get into the fold of that? How did you sign with Relapse?
Uh, that I'm gonna just attribute that to Ryan. You know, like I could say some things that I think I could speculate, but like Ryan, the the pandemic hit, and Ryan is a career musician. Like it's what he does. He tours. Touring makes any musician their money. Like if you're gonna live off of it, you have to go. You got to be gone most of the time,
Yeah,
and you're getting your money from T-shirt sales. You know, that's how that works, or how I understand it from friends like Ryan, who, you know,
yeah,
toured with Iron Reagan, Darkest Hour, you know. And I think, you know, Iron Reagan being on Relapse, and them having a familiarity with what that can do for them,
yeah,
what Ryan's bands are professional and hardworking, and I think that might have appealed to Rennie. And Rennie's like, my impression is that he's the owner, and he's the one who Ryan sent it to, and he just he fell in love with it. Ryan sent it, like, what do you think? You know, we're all biting our fingernails. We had a few. I think we had some punk labels that we were preferring to go. Weren't thinking. We didn't have any preference. We wanted integrity. You
yeah,
know, like, and we had some other labels in mind that didn't. You know, they didn't, maybe not this one, keep playing, like they just weren't interested.
yeah,
But it was they were the first person that said something and gave us any kind of offer, and we were like, well, we didn't expect this to happen, but I think it's great. I mean, it leaves a part of music that's always been kind of annoying to me. The It's funny because as a musician, I want nothing to do with the product.
yeah, yeah,
Like I just like to be in the zone of creating it. But as an artist, especially one that does album covers, the product is everything. The way
yeah,
it looks, the way
yeah.
it, you know, like but uh but
I,
yeah, so
give
in
me
one way, yeah,
um
sure.
um. We're about to get kicked off right now, so like I said, the
Okay.
two-parter. I'll
Yeah.
edit this. It'll take
Okay.
couple seconds to upload, and then I'll jump back on, and then we can do part two of this.
Copy
Uh,
that. I'll see
all
you
right.
soon.
See ya.
All right, bud.
I'm just gonna let this time run out so I can save it. Just we'll be back in a couple of seconds.